Um, I would like to begin this video by a quote from the Bhagavad Gita. The foolish disregard me when clad in human semblance. And I would like to talk about Savitri Devi. Um, she is a very spiritual woman, because spirit is that which includes within itself um, the contradictions and the negative, and remains unchanging, and spirit is that which maintains its being in the negation of itself. And um, history is the manifestation of divine providence, what Hegel calls reason. And as an empirical individual, um, I was attracted by Hegel and by Spinoza because they had a fully intellectual view of reality. And in my younger days, when I was foolish, I'm still foolish, but I understood broadly that World War II was some sort of definitive nail in the coffin of Hegel, because Hegel says that history is the working of reason and that history is rational. And I then later understood that what he means by reason is divine spirit. But the reason why Hegel fell in such a disgrace that no one is a Hegelian today, or not many, because Hegel says that everything is rational, and if you are a Hegelian, you have to explain and to justify all the horrors of history, which is the most difficult task. And I once said that Savitri Devi, in the book The Lightning and the Sun, had the most profound understanding of World War II, because she adopted a religious view, and that it was the conflict between the godlike. She says that the German chancellor was a godlike individual, a man against time, that he was descended to earth to restore the primordial conditions of being, but he failed because he was not the last one, but the one before the last. And that the opposing forces were what she called the forces of disintegration and death, and that history and World War II was a cosmic struggle between the forces of life and the forces of disintegration and death. And it can only be understood by adopting a religious view, because philosophy and religion are essentially one. Religion is truth for the masses. Philosophy is true for the select few, and there is philosophical understanding in religion, and there is religion in philosophy. It's reciprocal. And what I later understood is that the forces of disintegration, as she calls them, is a moment within the divine totality. And I identify with the negative because I am separated from the divine perfection. I am the one who brought about separation within the divine totality, and I must restore perfection by grasping intellectually the whole of being. And she is very spiritual because she understands both aspects of being, the destructive and the creative, the positive and the negative. And she's still in conflict, but she approaches the truth. and I will comment some passages that the succession of ages from pristine perfection to inevitable chaos is a tradition that which we find in all traditions, the primordial tradition. But the way I see things, God is a perfect being which self-destroy himself in a dialectical negation of himself, and from this self-destructive process he re-established identity with himself by reconstructing logically and dialectically his own identity to self. And this is an eternal process of destruction, creation, remembrance, and dismemberment, so to speak. God dismembers himself and remembers himself. And yeah. And then she talks about the cyclical view of history, the eternal return of all things, and that the Hindus, the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Sumerians, the ancient Americans, the native Americans of Middle America mostly, even the Romans, who were a modern people, according to her, because the Romans belong to the realm of der Verstand. They lack the speculative depth. They are a people of architecture and relative technology. For we might speak of technology, but they are a practical people. They are a people of conquest and of law. They are the Americans of antiquity, so to speak. And they hold out. All these peoples and civilizations had a view of the golden age, which is the age of truth. And the age of truth for Hegel, he doesn't talk about the age of truth, but truth is the adequation, the accordance of mind with world. When the world and the mind become one, truth is reestablished. And yeah, they all thought that it was in a distant past because it's a veiled image of a primordial wholeness of being. And all men and women are seeking unconsciously to reestablish a wholeness of being, but they seek that in many varied and diverse and sometimes contradictory searches and paths. And yeah, and the return of a similar age depends not upon man's conscious effort, but upon iron laws inherent to the very nature of visible and tangible manifestation, and all-pervading upon cosmic laws. They believed that man's conscious effort is but an expression of those laws at work. So, if you are watching this, you are a conscious manifestation of the eternal law. She talks about cosmic laws. From my point of view, cosmic laws are a reflection of logical laws. So you are an expression of the eternal dialectics, and I am, in my best moment, the expression of Hegelian logic become conscious of itself. And she says that the history of man is a detail in cosmic history, that our true essence is within the cosmic life, so to speak. But the way I see it, she was very close to the truth, but the cosmic life is a reflection of the dialectical flow of logic. And she talks about the periodical outcome of the inner necessity that binds all phenomena in time. And I think of myself as the negative in Hegel's view, and also reason. And my purpose is to reestablish full consciousness of being, and what I can bring to mankind is my view of the world from my position as being the negative of the world, and to show them the global picture. And I struggle to accept it, but this empirical being that you see is a detail in the cosmic process. And this is the most difficult task that I have, is to self-negate in order to arrive at full consciousness of myself and of the whole process of logical development of being. And she talks about being merged once more in the unchanging ocean of undifferentiated existence. This is the absolute, but as Hegel says, the absolute is identity of identity and difference. People would like to be plunged into the undifferentiated fullness of being, but I hate to say it, but I must speak the truth, that the truth of Hegel's system is negation, difference, separation, and then re-establishment, reintegration of what has been differentiated. And this is only this triadic process of repulsion, attraction, re-establishment of self-identity, which is the truth. The idea that there can be a primordial, undifferentiated fullness of being is not true, because in order to be undifferentiated, you have to negate the difference. You first have to set the separation and then re-establish unity. And this is the whole process of reason and of spirit and what Hegel calls the idea. And she talks about the fools and the unfortunate who have a too high opinion, an exaggerated estimation of what is to be lost in the process, and would like to stop it. And she talks about the increasing worthlessness of present-day mankind. And there is a conflict within God, because, as I said in another video, my body is Jewish. It's not me. It doesn't mean that I am Jew. Maybe I have Jewish genes. I don't know, because I look like a Jew partly, but I don't know. It's not important. What I mean is, spiritually, my body is Jewish and my mind is German. Not that's a symbol. It's not to be taken literally, but I have a conflict within me, because my real self, what I call my higher self, is the principle of all things, and this empirical individual that you see is limited, and it has a will, an evil will to remain in itself and to remain in his pathetic existence. And in my worst moments, I have an exaggerated view of my empirical self, and the whole process is to transcend myself, to negate myself, to access a higher level of consciousness, and to become one with the totality. And Savitri Devi is so spiritual because she understood all conflicts, all negations within this one cosmic being which separated itself from itself and re-established identity. And yeah, that's why she understood she understood reason in history, and this is the most relevant explanation of World War II. That yeah, so that was just the beginning. I will make other videos because I know that I am inspired today, and I am in a roller coaster of high ideas, low ideas. It's exhausting, but I will do my best and share what I can, knowing that I will fail in the process, but as long as my ideas are made available, I can enlighten people, and that's my greatest joy, is to be the light. So yeah.